guys! So today's video is a collaboration video. Yay! Thank you so much to Carolyn from Mommy Ramblings blog and to Daveda at Daveda Lane for inviting me to be a part of your collaboration. I'm very excited to share this video. So be sure, if you're not already subscribed to those two channels, I have links to their videos in the description of this video. So click on those videos and subscribe, share out, thumbs them up, give them some comments, share the love, everyone. So today, what I'm going to be sharing with you, I have a few Easter and spring signs, and I have one final piece that I'm going to actually make together with you, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. So let's get started. So the first one I wanted to share with you guys is I wanted to make use of one of the pages out of the farmer's market calendar that came from Dollar Tree. If you haven't seen it before, this is it. And those are all the images on the back. Now the paper on this is very thin, so you have to kind of be careful when you're using an adhesive to adhere it to the paper, but we'll get back to that. So I'd used this old sign from the fall. This is from Dollar Tree as well. And all I did first was, there are holes under here, and I took that hanger out and set it aside. All right, so the next thing I did was I used my Waverly antiquing wax, and I went along the sides and just kind of painted that to make it look a darker brown. Then what I did was I took my calendar, and there's the page there, and I tore that out, and I used the actual sign, placed it where I wanted it, I traced around it, and I cut it out. And then I actually, and here's a little tip for you. Now I've worked with the calendar pages in other projects, and they just didn't adhere very well because, I don't know, they wrinkled and they didn't set right. So here's a tip. Use a glue stick. I'm not kidding. They don't dry very quickly, so you can like pull up the paper and reposition it. I repositioned this thing, I don't know, maybe 3 times, and it smooths it out very nicely. So what I did is on the actual board, I just kind of went across, and I made sure to get all around the edges. You don't want the edging to come up and start wrinkling upward. So make sure you get all around the edges, and then on the actual paper, flip it over and make sure you get a really good covering over top of the middle. And then you lay that on there, and like I said, you can reposition it if you want. Just be real careful. You don't want your paper to tear. So once you get it where you want it, you can just, use your hands to smooth that out. Then the next thing I did is I just used some burlap. Now you can get the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and it just comes in a little roll of burlap ribbon. And I laid it out and measured how much I would need to cover the entire top, trimmed it off, and I used Mod Podge. Now this is a little thicker, so what I did is I Mod Podged. I put a layer of Mod Podge down on the sign. Then I laid the ribbon down. And then I came back and put another layer of Mod Podge on top. And I kind of let it dry a little bit. And then I used my scissors to go around and kind of trim up the extra. Now it kind of looked rough, obviously. You have that rough edge there. So I used a little bit of twine and came around. You can see where I glued it down in the back. Used a little bit of twine. You wind that around a few times, kind of finishes off that edge and hides it, and glue that down. Then I used the twine here to make a bow. For the button, all you do is, this is a little trick. This will make it easier to thread through. If your twine is thick, then you're going to take your twine, and it's actually twisted to look like one piece, but it's not. You split this apart and then thread that through your button to make it look like it's sewn on. And then you use a little bit of hot glue and you hot glue that on. And then on the back, you take a little bit of your twine, you hot glue that on, and I put a little bit of a Band-Aid on there to make sure it's stuck. Really good for me to hang up on my wall. I used a little bit of burlap, so I used some hot glue and stuck those on each side to make sure it's stuck. So there is your honey jar. All right, that's project number 1. Moving right along. This bunny sign. It's pretty minimalist, I think. This was one of those, and I don't know if you can see it, was one of those glitter bunnies. Just the head from Dollar Tree. I knew I wanted to do something with this, but I couldn't figure out what. I tried to wrap this with the nautical rope. I tried wrapping it with the twine. This would have taken forever and it wouldn't have looked right anyways. Then I decided, well, why don't I just run it this way? So that's what I did. I started here in the center, and you can't really see it. I could move this ribbon, but this is a great place to start in the center, and you're going to take your nautical rope end, okay, and you're going to start it in the center, and I started on the side right there, and you're just going to hot glue it, okay? So you're going to run it around, run it all the way around, just hot glue. Run a little layer of a row of hot glue, push it down. More hot glue, push it down. More hot glue, push it down. And what I did is I did a whole row all the way around, and then I cut it off. And then I went on the outside. One whole row all the way around, cut it off. Then I filled in the center. Okay? Then I turned it on its side, and I did the same thing on the side. Then I went on the inside, did the same thing on the inside. I think I used probably 2.5 rolls of the 9.5 feet nautical rope from Dollar Tree. Now what it's on is the canvas from Dollar Tree. This is the 11 by 14 canvas. So I just painted this a yellow. I love yellow. Any color yellow is good for me, but I envisioned more of a sunshine yellow. So that's kind of what I got here. So I painted the canvas yellow, and then I just used hot glue. I did not put nautical rope on the back. I don't know if you can see down inside there, and you can tell that, but I wanted it to remain flat because I wanted to hot glue this down onto the canvas. And that's what I did. So I positioned that, hot glued that, actually back it up. Because first, you have to take your ribbon. Now this is Dollar Tree ribbon. And what I did was I took the ribbon and I started it back here. And I wound it around and then back up. So that covers the area where you stopped and started. And then you're going to bring it up over so it looks like it's hanging. And then you hot glue it on the back. And I used this popsicle stick. I just kind of broke it in half and hot glued that on there as a Band-Aid. That's my reassurance that it's going to stay where it needs to stay. Then I hot glued the whole thing down. Then I came back, and this ribbon here is also at Dollar Tree, this lace ribbon. And I made a very simple little ribbon, and then I added the button in the center. Okay, so moving right along. Okay, now this one was fun. So I had these little wooden hearts from the Dollar Tree. Now you can find them in the crafter section. It's similar to this star, but they're obviously the shape of hearts. And I thought, well, they make really good carrots. Kind of cute. So I had 4 of them, and I painted them orange. And then I painted a couple of them with the white stripes. And then I used my dauber brush, also from Dollar Tree, to make the little white dots on these two. Really cute. And then I added some of the greenery. Wrapped some twine around it to give it a little bit of a prettier transition from the greenery into the carrot, and attached those on. Found my positioning that I liked on the, this is another one of the 11 by 14 canvases that I painted several different colors before I came up with something that I liked, which was the gray and the white. And I hot glued all 4 of those down, and I did make some twine. Did use the same technique of wrapping the twine around my fingers, and then with the buttons on them. I thought they were a little added extra touch. And then at the bottom, it just wasn't complete. Something was missing. So I used my nautical rope, same nautical rope from Dollar Tree. I didn't want to wind it all the way around. I knew the picture was, or the hanging was already going to be heavy. So what I did was I just cut strips, and I just layered them on and used the hot glue to glue them on the back. And then even still, it wasn't complete. So I made 2 little extra, you can see, 2 little extra twine bows, 1 on each side, and then added the little buttons, a green one and an orange one. And then I had this metal word spring from Dollar Tree. So I did use a little bit of hot glue, and I glued that on as well. So, and then I used some nautical rope, and I did not put band-aids on that one. I don't know why. Might have to go back and do that. Just because this is a very heavy piece, so I will be hanging this up too. Now you could rough this up a little bit. You could use some of your sandpaper on the carrots before you glue them down. You could use a little bit of your antiquing wax and make this look a little bit more rustic if you'd like. I kind of like the bright colors. That's just me, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. But you do it the way you want to do it. Now this next one was my little baby for a while. This came from this basket, this plain wooden basket form from Dollar Tree. And the first thing I did was I cut this off at the top. And I had some scrapbook paper, this plaid scrapbook paper here, that you can see on the eggs, and the eggs here, and the green here, and then up here the pink, that I wanted to use on this. So the first thing I did with the basket is I used my Waverly antiquing wax, and I just stained the whole thing. Then I came back with my glue gun, and if you look at the basket, you can see pretty close. What I did was I just made a crisscross pattern with my glue gun. It really isn't hard. It intimidated me at first, but it's not hard. If you just go slow and you just dole out your glue at a steady pace, it's not hard at all. You let that dry. Then I came back around with my Waverly antique wax, and I put that on top of it again and let that dry. I kind of wiped a little bit of it off, you know, but I wanted that the basket look to it. So I did that. Then for the eggs, the bow, and the H in the middle, all I did was I cut out a little piece of scrapbooking paper. You know, I trimmed it up the right size, but I used Mod Podge, and I Mod Podged the different colored scrapbooking papers, and I used Mod Podge, like I've said 15 times now. And put that on for the bow. Each egg, I had to freehand the egg cutouts, and then the H. Now this trim here, I wanted to do a little something to finish the basket line off, but I didn't want plain twine. So what I did is I cut 3 long pieces of the twine, and I tied it in a knot at the top. And just tied it off in a knot, and I used a little clip, and I clipped it down, and I braided it. And then I used that braid and went all the way around the basket. Then I decided, well, this kind of looks, it needs more detail here. So I did the same thing here, and I wanted a little bit of something to cover up that spot. So I put a little pink button there. Then I made one of my twine bows for up here to stick in the middle of the pink bow with the little pink button on top. Then I used this as my base. Now this is actually something that I got on sale. It was on clearance, and that says $3.99, but I might have paid $1/4 for it from AC Moore when they were going out of business and everything was on Uber clearance. So that's what the base is. What I did was I cut up some of that floral, the floral stuff that they use in floral arrangements that they put the stems down in. I cut up enough to fill up the base, and then I'll pull one of these out. So these eggs are also from Dollar Tree, and I did the same technique on these. I used the antique wax and painted front and back, let them dry, Mod Podged the same scrapbooking paper colors onto the eggs, each egg. And then I used a popsicle stick and just kind of broke them into little pieces, hot glued them on, and then I just stuck them down where I wanted them in the floral. Was it floral foam? There you go. So I kind of arranged it the way I wanted it down inside my floral foam. And then I used the moss from the Dollar Tree and a little bit of hot glue and kind of glued that down where I wanted it. And that's it. Very excited now because we are going to do a tutorial together. It's going to be a quick one, but a cute one and a fun one. So let's get our supplies together. So for this project, your supplies. What you will need: you're going to need a tin like this from the Dollar Tree. You're going to need some floral foam. You are going to need some white cloth. Now this is, oh, it's so soft. This is from the Dollar Tree. You can find this in the automotive section. I don't have the label because I've already used it once, but you will need some of that. Now you can use whatever fuzzy white cloth that you can find. You can even use felt. You will need some carrots. Now these carrots came from the Dollar Tree. They had some different greenery coming out of them. I didn't like them, so I plucked them out, and I will be putting these down inside of them and hot gluing them down in there. So here I have 5 of them. You will also be using one of these chalkboard wood stakes. They come in a pack of 4 at Dollar Tree. You will be using just one of them. You will also need some Spanish moss. You will need a white, I have a paint marker, so you could use just a regular white marker. You could use a silver Sharpie, anything that you have on hand to be able to write on top of this black chalkboard is fine. As for the other things that you will need, you'll need a couple of things of ribbon and your glue gun and some scissors. So, oh, and some polyfill. Now listen, there's a tip. If you have an old pillow laying around that you haven't gotten rid of yet, don't go out and buy polyfill. Don't pay for that mess. Just clip your pillow open, use a little bit of polyfill from inside. It's the same thing, and it's free because you were going to throw it out anyway. So there it is. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so I've cut my pillow open, and you can see, look at all the polyfill inside here. Just yours for the taking. All right, and I plugged my glue gun in right here, and I have my strip of fabric, and the fuzziest side I've put face down. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my polyfill, my pillow fill, and kind of scrunch it up into a nice little ball and sit that down. I don't know, is that big enough? You can add, you can take away. I'm just going to get another clump of it. And you can shape this as you go along. Let me move this more into the center. You can either have a fat bunny butt or you can have a slim bunny butt. It's up to you. But you can kind of play with it a little bit and see what you're going to have. you know, when you start to put your bunny butt together. Okay, that looks good. I want that as my bunny butt. So, all right, so you're gonna sit that in the center. Now, the first thing you're gonna do is just kind of start folding your fabric, and that's out of frame, so let's move it up. You're gonna start folding your fabric across. I'm just gonna put a little glue on the polyfill, and I'm gonna fold that corner over. Now you can also grab your fabric scissors. If there's any excess fabric, you can trim it. And from what I'm seeing here, I'm gonna have a lot of excess. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna fit this like that, and see, you can see I'm gonna have a lot of this fabric is gonna come up, and it's gonna be a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my scissors, and I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna eyeball it. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna flip this little puff over like that. And let's go ahead and clip. I'm gonna go ahead and just, like I said, I eyeball it. I eyeball a lot of my crafts. There aren't a whole lot of things that I measure when I'm crafting. If it calls for specific measurements, I will do it, but I cook the same way. That's why I'm not a great baker. I am a terrible baker because I just, you know, I like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Let's bring up this end. Okay, so we're gonna bring that up, and you can see how that's gonna do that thing. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue here, and move out of the way, scissors. And fold that over the top of that glue and let that cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna trim this little bit off. We don't need that. Our little bunny butt is taking shape. It kind of looks elongated right now, but when we start on the other end, we'll make it nice and round and poofy. This is probably what takes the longest, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, now at this point, we're gonna take this part, and we're just gonna kind of encompass all of this other, and we're just gonna fold that around, okay? So that's what it's gonna look like on the top. So I'm going to fold that underneath, fold this around. You wanna leave a little bit of length on there because you need to pull it tight. And I did get some over-glued it. I over-glued it. Eek! But that's okay, because this is the bottom. The bottom of the bottom. Ah! All right, so while that's drying, we're gonna go over on this end, and we're going to stuff that polyfill down, and go ahead and start layering some of this fabric. And what sometimes helps is if you cut it like that, and then you can kind of fold it in. Just don't cut too far. And then you can do something like that. Like I said, there is no rhyme or reason to this. You clip it and glue it, and clip it and glue it, and try not to burn yourself like I just did here on my finger. Ow, it hurts. But I'm a big girl. I can handle it. All right, so I've got some silicone tips on my fingers now, so that should help some. So yeah, this glue is extremely hot. If you have a high temp glue gun, just be very, very careful. All right, so there's our bunny butt. Now, like I said, you're gonna be able to shape it and even use some of your Spanish moss to kind of, see, you can push it in, little bunny bun bun. All right, that looks more like a little butt. Okay, so once you're done with that, set it aside. So for the little bunny tail, all I did was I took out a little bit of the polyfill from my pillow and kind of just coaxed it into its own little ball, and just set it down on a little square of the fabric, fuzzy side down. Okay, now we're going to take this polyfill Set it right down there in the middle and just kind of start folding it all up over top of it. Just like that. And in between, we're going to put a little dab of the very hot glue. Please be careful with the glue. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to clip most all of this off. I really just don't need all of that. Right now, to finish this off, I'm just going to kind of tuck these pieces down around the polyfill. That's the goal. I don't want my polyfill to show, but I want a nice, cute little fuzzy tail. I'm just going to kind of fold that up, pull this around to the back, and put a little bit more of my hot glue. And there you have your little bunny tail. Isn't it cute? Yay. All right, so now that that's made, I'm going to set that aside, glue side up so that that can dry. Now I'm going to do this off camera, but all I'm going to do is take these pieces. You don't have to do this. You can just buy your carrots and use them as is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my carrots and I'm going to put the greenery in the top of them. But I'm going to do that off camera. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so the next thing we're going to do, here's the carrots. So I used my hot glue gun and I stuck those the greenery tops down inside the carrots. Ignore my fingers, I've got lots of hot glue on them. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is, before we start putting this together, I wanna cover up these words. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this orange and burlap check ribbon, and I'm gonna use my hot glue to aid me. Oops, that fell out, which that's fine. You can go ahead and knock that out. To aid me in just taking this, and all I'm going to do is loop it all the way around and cover up those words. So I'm going to do that and then I will be right back. I've got the orange and burlap colored ribbon all the way around, and I'm going to show you this. This is the back. The back doesn't matter what it looks like right now. You could go ahead and fold this around and make it more tighter fitting around the bottom. I just used some hot glue and ran it equally around, and on the sides towards the back I used a little tiny bit more hot glue. You can't see it on the front, and it holds it up just perfectly right here. Now see, you could go back if you wanted to, you can fold those sides, whoops, you can fold those sides in and make it a little tighter looking, but I will tell you, once you get this front ribbon on, it's not going to matter because this ribbon will stay in place. So let me show you what we're going to do next. Now this ribbon here is from the Dollar Tree. I prefer personally the polka dot ribbon, but I don't have any left. I have used it all. Now this strip is a little too long. I had cut this for a different project I was working on, but like I said, it's a little bit too long for this one. So I am going to trim this down a little bit. Let's see. I'm just gonna eyeball it like I love to do. So let's eyeball that. I don't want it completely long. Okay, that might work. Let's see. I'm going to cut it equally on each end. I think that might work. I don't know how many inches that is. Like I said, you can eyeball it. And I'm going to take another piece that's similar. I am going to use the first piece as a template, cut that off, and cut the end to match it. All right, I'm going to lay them in a crisscross fashion on the front, and we're going to go ahead and I am going to, now like I said, this glue will go through, and you can use your scissors to kind of make sure that that goes through, and it will, because the ribbon is not solid, it's porous. All right, so we're gonna glue one side on, and then I'm gonna take the other piece and I'm gonna put it across like in an X pattern. Actually, I'm gonna put it a little bit here and put that on top. I will be putting a couple of these felt carrot stickers on the front, just kind of overlapping them like that to kind of finish up the very front of the basket. Now I like to put all this together before I start putting things inside. It's just easier because I can set the whole design on its side. Now I'm gonna peel this entire piece off. Put some glue on the back of my carrot and glue that on. It covers everything. It just kind of further covers up all of the glue marks even better. Glue on there. Get that positioned where you want it and push that in. And there you go. There's the front. Okay, now let's go ahead and fill the bucket. I'm going to put my pieces of floral foam back in. I'm going to use that on the end just to kind of seal it. Now I'm going to take my bunny butt and I'm going to position that on the end. I'm going to take my bunny tail. We're going to put the bunny tail about right there. One important element that I forgot, he needs feet. Okay, I'm going to show you where I get my bunny feet. Now you can always cut them out of felt and glue them on, that's fine, but I like my bunny feet ready made, so I'm going to show you where I get my bunny feet in just a minute. Alright, so make sure you get that little bunny tail on there, nice and sturdy. So put that right there. Alright, now we're going to take our Spanish moss and we're just going to pull you shouldn't have to pull too hard, just kind of naturally let it break apart and just start stuffing that in. Go ahead, turn it around, make sure you fill in the back like so. Oops, some glue that's still wet. Okay, looks good. Now you can always go back and put more in. I'm probably going to put some in right here. So it truly looks like he's burrowing down in there. And around on the side. And I like some of it to be falling out. Just makes it look a little more realistic. Okay. All right, now for the carrots. The carrots, I'm going to stick. Now, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and stick them down inside my floral foam, and I am going to use a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to take the carrot, I'm going to make a little divot in the floral foam, and then I'm going to put a little hot glue down in that divot and just stick the carrot down. Right there. All right, now that is done. Now I'm going to go back and I am going to add a little more Spanish moss between there, between the carrots. Back here. Just pat it up some. Oh, I love it. He's so cute. Oh, I love a bunny butt. All right, now just for the feet. Let me show you what I'm going to use for the feet. So at Dollar Tree, they had these little signs here, every bunny welcome, and at the bottom they had these little adorable bunny feet on them. So I got a few of these, and I hate to separate the bunny from their feet, but it has to be done. So I'm going to use these little guys. And I know there's going to be a little hole at the top and the little toe, but It can't be helped, right? I'm sorry, and I might go back and kind of paint over that. But, you know, the way it's going to be positioned like that, you're not going to really be able to tell. So, we'll see. So, I'm going to hot glue these guys right on him or her. It could be a her, we don't know. We can't see its face or its ears. It could have a bow on. We don't know. So, okay. All right. Get the other foot on, and he or she is digging in those carrots, man. Look at that. Such a cutie. Oh my goodness. So that makes the perfect little Easter and spring. That's the thing about this, is that you can set it out for spring as well. Bunnies are still around in spring. Trust me, we have a lot of them around our home. Now, the final touch is going to be your sign. You're going to use this chalkboard sign. Okay, clear a spot out. And your white paint stick, or paint pen. And we're going to write on here. Make sure it's working. Carrots. We're cheap today, so we're going 5 cents. Carrots, 5 cents. Or if you're a bunny, you can get it for free. And we'll stick it right there in the patch. So there we go. It's done. Yay. I have to move it so you can read it better. There. It's done. Da, 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 da. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as I said in the beginning, this is a part of a collaboration with myself and Mommy Ramblings blog and Daveda Lane. And I have included the links to all of their videos in the description of my video. So please click on those. Go give them a view, a comment, a thumbs up, and a share. And be sure that you're subscribed to their channels as well as mine. I really appreciate it, guys. I love my subs. I love you guys. I really, really, really do. And I appreciate you guys being here for me. Keep being kind to each other, guys, because there's too much meanness in this world. Bye.